Welcome to Module 11, Lesson 5. In this lesson, we will use common multiples to rewrite two fractions so they have a common denominator or a common numerator. Okay, so we've been talking about common factors. We're going to be working with common factors, common multiples, to write fractions with a common denominator or a common numerator. So the same denominator, same numerator. All right, let's look at number 1. Sam needs 3/4 cup of bananas and 2/3 cup of strawberries for a recipe. How can he write 3/4 and 2/3 as a pair fraction with a common denominator? Okay, so let's pop down right here. A common denominator is a common multiple of the denominators of two or more fractions. In order to find a common denominator, we need to find a common multiple. Okay, we can pop up here. A common multiple is a number that is a multiple of two or more numbers. Okay, just like we found common factors, this time we're doing it with multiples. So we need to list the first 5 multiples of each of the denominators. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Go ahead and list the first 5 multiples of 3. If you need more time, pause the video. All right, so we need to choose a common multiple. Now, sometimes we won't have a common multiple in the first 5 multiples, but in this case we do. Our common multiple is 12. We will use multiplication to determine the relationship between each denominator and the multiple you chose. So what it's asking us to do is say we need to find the relationship between 4 and 12 and 3 and 12. With 4 and 12, we need to multiply by 3 to get to 12, right? And with 3 and 12, we need to multiply by 4. So using our knowledge, we have 3/4. When I do common denominators, I like to put the denominator in right away so I remember where my goal is. Okay, so now let's look at 3/4. We need to multiply 4 times 3 to get to 12. Now remember, what we multiplied the denominator by, we also must multiply the numerator by, because we're multiplying by 1 here. 3/3 is equal to 1. Just changing the size of the pieces, not the size of the fraction. So we find that our equivalent fraction is 9/12. Go ahead and do the next part of C for 2/3. All right, we need to multiply that fraction by 4/4, and we get 8/12 as our answer. All right, let's look at number 2. Allison needs 5/8 cup of almonds and 4/5 cup of walnuts for her recipe. How can she write 5/8 and 4/5 as a pair of fractions with a common numerator? A common multiple can also be used as a common numerator. So this time we aren't listing the multiples of our denominators. We are listing the multiples of our numerators. This is just a different way of comparing fractions. You will most likely use common denominator more, but it's important we understand how to do common numerator as well. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and list your first few multiples of 5 and 4. All right, should have found that your common multiple was 20. So letter B is asking us to use multiplication to determine the relationship between each numerator and the common multiple that we chose. Right, so we have 5 times what is 20? 4 times what is 20? Okay, we have to multiply 5 times 4 and 4 times 5. All right, so again, I like to put this time we're working with common numerator. So my numerator for both fractions will be 20. I know that in order to get a numerator of 20, I need to multiply this fraction by 4/4. 4 times 8 is equal to 32. Okay, go ahead and complete the next one. Pause the video if you need any more time. Great. So you should have multiplied by 5/5 to get a fraction of 20/25. All right, go ahead and complete the check understanding. For this, you can choose if you want to use a common denominator or a common numerator. All right, so you had a lot of options on what you could do because you were the one picking if it was a common denominator or a common numerator, and from there, what you wanted to pick as your common denominator or common numerator. So here is an example of how I like to set these problems up. I like to write my fractions stacked like this: 1/3, 2/5. Then I can list my common multiples. If I'm listing my common denominators, I like to put them by the denominator. So you can see I did common denominators for 2 problems. And for the last one, I did a common numerator. I like to then circle the common multiple that I find. This just keeps me on track. It helps me stay focused and organized. Then you can solve to find the equivalent fractions.